Raphael Kanyingi is a smallholder avocado farmer from Murang'a County in Kenya that lies approximately 85 kilometers northeast of Nairobi. He represents 80% of the country's horticulture producers who supply fresh produce to exporters on contractual farming and to the local traders for the domestic market.
I started farming these fruits of avocado about 15 years ago, and it's not a bad job.
Horticulture is one of the top contributors to Kenya's gross domestic product, and it continues to grow at approximately 50 to 20% every year, according to the National Bureau of Statistics.
As a country, we are improving and growing at a very fast rate in terms of fruits and vegetables, both for domestic and for export. We have an increased production, an increase in volume of export. We even have more players now taking part in the horticulture industry.
The sector is among the leading foreign exchange earners, generating approximately $1 billion annually. Hosea Machuki, a representative of growers, exporters and service providers in the horticulture industry in Kenya, tells us more.
The contribution of fruits, vegetables, herbs and spices to the subsector. In terms of jobs, we basically employ a lot of people. Over 80% of what is produced by farmers, smallholder farmers generally. And last year, as you are aware, we earned 115 billion Kenya shillings in terms of foreign exchange.
For the last few years, the sector has witnessed an increase in production and consumption, yielding more than 7 million metric tons of fruits and vegetables annually, earning the country a substantial amount of income. For instance, in 2017 alone, fruits and vegetables earned Kenya over $90 million and over $240 million on export volumes of over 56,000 tons and over 87,000 tons respectively when compared to the previous year. The increase in exports has been attributed to compliance with the export market requirements by majority exporters and producers such as Raphael Kanyingi, who has been trained on good agricultural practices to meet the international standards.
Kutokana na hii masomo vile tumefundishwa, tuko na ujuzi ya kuzuia hawa wadudu wasiingie kwa matunda yetu wakiharibu tena. Niko na furaha juu yake, manake nishaendelea mbali sana. Na nishafaidi familia yangu na wakulima wa kikundi yangu washafaidika sana.
In order for Kenya to increase access to markets and its trade volumes for fruits, vegetables and herbs to the already established markets like the European Union and other emerging markets such as China, the Middle East, Japan among others, the government and other sector players have increased monitoring along the value chains to ensure that all producers, handlers and exporters are adhering to compliance to phytosanitary requirements, compliance to food safety, and compliance to plant health requirements, among others.
We are also now upgrading the pack house to be able to meet the ISO 22000, which is a food safety management system. So eventually the products which will be coming out of here will have been certified to have met the ISO 22000 requirement.
In order to address the maximum residue levels on fresh produce destined for export, the Government of Kenya, through the Plant Health Inspectorate Service KEPHIS, an agency in charge of inspections, requires all exporters to be issued with a phytosanitary certificate before they ship their consignments.
At the exit point, we normally do the inspection. We do the inspection basing on the destination market. and we carry out a sample. After picking a sample of what is supposed to be inspected, we do the inspection, and what is complying, we normally pass and give it a phytosanitary certificate. Once we issue that phytosanitary certificate, it gives confidence to the importing country that this consignment has been inspected by an authorized organization and it is fit to be allowed into the country.
Apollo Owuor, a large-scale farmer and an exporter of French beans from Kajiado County in Kenya, has been growing the crop for the last 3 years. Despite the high cost of production and expensive freight services that are making his produce uncompetitive in the markets, he strictly follows the international standard requirements as specified by his destination market.
In order to meet the export market requirements, ethical trading is very key, and we have to implement certain social issues in the farm. So some of the things that we do here, just to put our awareness within the social spectrum, is we provide food to our workers at a subsidized rate. We also provide subsidized housing for workers. And we also, our rates in terms of pay is in order to attract better and qualified labor, we have to be slightly above the normal market rates.
To control harmful insects, pests and diseases from his capsicum produce, which he is about to harvest, Apollo says technology has been of great help in terms of water conservation and the use of shades.
Here we've created a pest-proof environment where the pest of concern here is called false codling moth, which is a quarantine pest in the European market. And that pest chili is one of the hosts of this pest. So we have to grow the chilies under very well controlled environment to isolate and to keep this pest away from our crops.
Despite all these improvements in the subsector in Kenya, some challenges that need to be addressed in order to boost the domestic and international market include access to finance, lack of proper cold chain systems, and high cost of production, among others.
The key challenges are pest pressure, crop management issues, capital access, especially the cost of finance, sizes of land, very limited water and weather-related issues, plus cost of inputs.
Financial institutions, they look at a lot of things before they can give you money, and one of the things is they look at your financials. And you know, when you're a startup, you may not even have those financials, or they look at your books, and you may be, being a Juakali, you may not even be able to afford an auditor to be able to go through your books or to put your books in order, which is what the banks in our country accept.
In the recent past, we have had challenges with the efficiency of issuance of the phytosanitary certificate, because the ECS system, from time to time, continues to get lapses. However, we want to encourage government to support KEPHIS and to provide sufficient resources to ensure that the system is running on a 24-hour basis.
We have issues of infrastructure in terms of transportation logistics, of ensuring that the safety. We are currently working very strongly with the counties, with the national regulators, with many actors to ensure that this food safety logistics are put in place, this sanitary facilities being put in the marketplace.
To mitigate these challenges at the local and international levels, the government of Kenya has implemented a national traceability system known as the KS 1758 Part 2 for the fruits, vegetables and herbs subsector, which ensures that all produce from farm to fork is traceable. Food quality and safety standards and all other requirements are met.
We are presently implementing the traceability system Last year we were on the pilot phase. This year we are fully implementing it. The exporters now have to meet the requirement of traceability. We need to know what produce of Kenya is exported and where it has come from and where and how it has been grown, what chemicals have been used, and all the requirements of traceability.
As production volumes increase in the domestic market in Kenya, retailers such as supermarkets are also complying to food safety requirements by collaborating with other agencies in government and private sector when sourcing for fresh produce.
We have put in place different measures to ensure that the quality that we are getting into the supermarket meets the standards before we list any supplier to supply specific products regarding the fresh area. We have to visit where this supplier is best in terms of production, how is this production done. If it's a garden, we have to visit the garden to ascertain that the garden is the right place for production of these specific products.
Fresh produce destined for the domestic market, farmers have been able to be linked up to local buyers who add value in terms of grading of this produce, and then they sell through the structured domestic market, through the supermarkets and the major groceries in Nairobi and other towns. And farmers are now able to make better returns from their farming business.
Wamboi Mbarire, the Chief Executive Officer of the Retail Traders Association of Kenya, explains what it takes for smallholder farmers to access markets while ensuring sustainability.
You know, the process of listing in a supermarket is not as difficult as people tend to imagine it is. You just simply need to walk to a supermarket and ask to see the person in charge of the supplier who deals with the fresh produce. And then from there you bring a sample of the produce that you want, be able to show the supermarket the farm you're sourcing from, and if you're the farmer, to be able to take them around your farm, and then guarantee that the quantities and quality that will be ordered for will be available from you.
And how does the future look like for this subsector?
The future for me is to empower the consumer. Once the consumer is well empowered and informed, I am happy because the consumer will now demand specific aspects.